criminal attorneys and defense attorneys and running Google Ads. I want to talk about that today. I've taught a lot of attorneys how to run their own Google Ads so they can have control of it, and I do manage a lot of campaigns for criminal attorneys and defense attorneys, and they run really, really well. They have a very high ROI, a very fast return on investment, and they tend to be one of the most successful campaigns that it's easy to measure the success because the phone is ringing a lot in the office or on their cell phone. A lot of times they have to hire someone to answer the phone if they were a solo practitioner, and the bottom line is just obviously bigger at the end of the month. And I know that attorneys don't like to talk in business terms, but these are the terms I'm going to use during this just because I don't like to change my language too much, just to appease people feeling better or whatever. And also I don't edit my videos, so you're going to hear every throat clear every time I look away or whatever. It's just going to be there. I don't edit it. I just raw dog these things. Because all that really matters is, does Google Ads work for criminal attorneys? And the answer is yes, really well, as long as it's done right and you consider these things. So here's the things that I've learned to consider when setting up and managing Google Ads campaigns for criminal attorneys. Number one is, we list out all the areas that a criminal attorney can cover. Everything from white collar defense, DUIs, sex cases, domestic abuse, and theft, and the list goes on and on. Juvenile cases, all kinds of stuff. Once we go through all these and talk about them, I ask them things like, which one of these do you address the best with not only the family and who's hiring you, but which one do you defend the best? Which one do you have the most luck with when you're dealing with the district attorney's office and the judges and things like that? And some of them are really good at domestic disputes. Some of them are really good at juvenile. And so we tend to focus more on the one that you're best at because you're going to have the highest ROI and the highest success rate. This is a business decision based on you making way more money than you're spending on Google Ads. That's really what it comes down to. And if you have a lot of success in one area just because your personality or the way you talk or your understanding of that area of the law makes you just more successful, gets you better reviews online because of the outcome of the cases, then we want to focus more of the click dollars on that. We'll still focus some click dollars on other things, but we want to focus the click dollars on what you have the most success at, in which cases you're able to settle out of court with a good outcome. And like I said, the family's willing to write a good review because in the end, when you can get good reviews out of these cases that come in, you're multiplying your chances to have more clients and to have more success. So that's the one thing. The next thing is we look at the jails and the prisons around their area. What are the phone privileges there? Is there a day when the phone privileges don't exist at that jail or prison? And there are some that have zero phone privileges on Sunday. And so we know that Monday morning, the inmates that got put in jail on Friday or Saturday that may not have got to be able to use the phone, and definitely the ones that were brought to jail on Sunday, have not been able to call family yet. And so they're rushing to that phone to call family. And families are getting called Monday morning and lawyers are getting called shortly after that. And it could be a different day in your area. So we research things like that to see what day we need to make sure that you're getting the highest market share, the highest visibility on Google Ads. And then there's days whenever the phone calls that come in are not so good, and we want to make sure Google Ads is turned off during those days so we don't waste click dollars. The other thing we want to look at is which courthouses and which counties you have the best relationships with, the best luck, and market around those areas. So it's not just about showing up for the right keywords. That's really the easy part. Now that Google Ads has been around so long and we've been doing it so long, we know the right keywords, we know the negative keywords, not a mystery. The trick is customizing it to your area, your personal success, and then where you're going to have the most success when calls come in from the right places. And of course, we always want to find out if you're, able to practice in more than one state and things like that, and where we're going to market to and things of that nature. And so these are some of the things we look at. We also want to make sure that the phone can be answered. And we only run the Google ads during the time your phone can be answered. People don't always want to leave a voicemail outlining their legal problems. They will leave. They will fill out a form fill, maybe if it's after hours, but they're also going to keep calling, especially if it's an urgent situation. You've got a family member that really dreads the idea of another family member being, stuck in jail or prison. They're going to keep calling around. So the figuring out the phone equation is very important. Some hire, an answering service, and that answering service, when they get the call, if they meet certain criteria, they'll wake you up, call you on your cell phone. Some go ahead and hire an in-office person. And a lot of times we'll just set the Google ads from, let's say, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. because that's when you can get the phone answered. If you hire a 24-hour answering service that's good and reliable and does a good job, we can keep it running 24 hours. And we just want to make sure and track how many calls are coming in and how they're answering them. And you definitely want to have a tracking number on that. You don't want to put your landline on your website or your cell phone. You want to have a tracking number where we can go in and we can look how many calls came in through Google Ads. If it's allowed to be recorded in the state that you're in, have a recording. Of course, if it is or not. You're the lawyer. And keep track of these things. Measure, what calls are coming in from Google Ads and what's working. On that note, you want to have a separate tracking number on your Google Maps page, on any listings that you have with Find Law or Martindale Hub or lawyer.com. Oh, it's the afternoon. My mouth's not working as well as it normally does. But those already have tracking numbers on them, on those listings. So really you want to, and this goes on to the next thing, a lot of people will say things like, I don't know which part of my marketing is working or whatever. It's kind of their own fault nowadays. A long time ago, it's hard to tell, but nowadays we can really tell. You want to have a meeting at least once a week with your staff or even with all your marketing people, including myself, to say, hey, here's all the calls that came in from Google Maps. Here's all the calls that came in from lawyer.com or from Martindale Hubble, from Google Ads, and then kind of look at where everything's coming from, who's actually calling in. Are they good calls? Are they not good calls? And things like that. That way you know where your money's being spent well. And if you want to put more money in one thing and less in another thing, move your money around, things like that. And you want to communicate with your Google Ads guy. This is another very important thing. You want to communicate with whoever's managing your Google Ads, not editing it out, daily at first, like just every day. Hey, how many calls did you get today? What were they about? Were they good? Did you get any calls about things that were not about, a law practice? Did you get calls for random crazy stuff, things like that? Did you get a bunch of hangups? Did you get a bunch of marketing calls? You're always going to get a bunch of marketing calls at first when you first get on Google Ads, but you're also going to get a lot of good calls. And after communicating daily, you can just text or call. Maybe you go down to like twice a week after a few weeks. And then after a few more weeks, maybe by the 6th or 7th week, you can communicate just once a week. But the reason for this is so that the Google Ads person knows what's happening in the physical world, and they get that information from you, so they can change what's happening in the digital world to make what's happening in the physical world match what your business needs, what your practice needs. So that's a quick rundown of about a few things about running a successful Google Ads campaign for criminal attorneys. And my name's Chris with SEFRE Agency. If you need lessons on how to manage your own Google Ads so you can have control, give me a call. If you just want me to run them for you, I can do that. And numbers on the screen. Thanks.